Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of Yuckin Ball. It's Sunday, August 11th, 2024. We're excited for this one. How's it going, gentlemen?
Doing good. We're hoping for a condensed video. I think we're going to get that closer to the 30-minute mark, but even though it's a little bit shorter, it's going to have a lot of action-packed topics.
Yeah, we're trying to cut the fat down, get it nice and good, get the stats in, but also make it entertaining for you guys.
All right, boys, let's yuck some ball. Get us started. We're going to talk about the playoff picture. Again, just going to try to condense it down instead of going through every series and every single team. We're just going to kind of condense the ones that are basically already in the dance as of right now, or basically the ones that are fighting for those spots in the hunt. Big man, what were you thinking?
Yeah, so just to start off, looking at the NL there, it's going to read off the list, 1 through 6, and plus those teams in the hunt. So solidifying those division leaders, the 1 spot representing the NL West, you got the Dodgers, and number 2 representing the NL East, you got the Phillies. Both the same record though, so there's that. And then representing the 3rd spot in the NL Central, you got the Milwaukee Brewers, only 2 games behind though, not even, actually a game and a half. So, and then the wild card spots, you have both D-backs and the Padres tied, so they got the 4 and the 5 there. And how about this? Another tie. The Braves and the Mets have the tie for the 6th spot. And then some teams in the hunt, we have the Cardinals and the Giants, both a game and a half back from the Braves and the Mets. And then also the Cubs are 3 games back from that 3rd wild card spot.
Yeah, so which teams are you thinking are the most in jeopardy? I mean, obviously we have the teams that are closer to it. We know like things are tightening up in the West, but which ones of these are you thinking of actual threats versus, hey, this team's going through a slump and this team's hot right now?
Say just out of the teams that were listed, I mean, it's really a game-by-game approach. I don't want to really go too ahead of myself and say something too wild. But just looking at the teams, I would say the team that has the most instability would be the Mets, because we've seen this before where they go on their runs. And, Frankie Lindor has been playing great. He's looking like his old self. And the rotation's been playing pretty good, even with some injuries. But we've seen it in the past that the foundation just crumbles and they end up being a disappointing team that just doesn't make the cut.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Again, the Mets sometimes can find a way to lose, even with the talent that they have. And they're going up against the Braves that seem to be turning it on here a little bit, with Matt Olson here hitting grand slams, as well as Jorge Soler hitting 3 home runs in 3 games. And they have that championship pedigree of the past. So I think the Braves and the Mets are to look out for, and the Mets might be in trouble.
I was thinking division-wise, I think in the National League, I think the West is definitely getting hot right now. You look at the Phillies, they're 7.5 games up, and the Brewers are the same over the Cardinals. So I don't really question those two for the division leads, especially anytime soon. But Padres and Diamondbacks, a little foreshadowing to later, but they're only 3.5 games back, and both of those teams are scorching. Dodgers are kind of like, I wouldn't say they're going on a downhill slide, they're just kind of maintaining a little bit more 500 ball, it feels like. So I'm most curious about that one. Is this one of those things that the Dodgers get guys back, like Mookie's coming back into right field? Is this the bolster that they need to just get back on the gas and pull away, or is this going to come down to the wire?
I would say, like you said, Mookie Betts coming back. I think he might be coming back tomorrow. I thought I saw a report on that. For the sake of content, we would like to say those D-backs and the Pods, they have a chance of usurping them. I don't think so, but it's right there numerically, so we can't say it's never going to happen or it won't.
I'm kind of on the other side of Micah there. I kind of think that it just depends on how well the Diamondbacks and the Padres keep playing. I don't think the addition of Mookie Betts is going to make them pull away. Again, I think it's just the Diamondbacks and the Padres beat themselves. That's the only way the Dodgers are going to pull away. And hopefully, I would like to see the Padres or the Diamondbacks dethrone the Dodgers in the West and continue that hot streak into October.
And I think that the bats isn't necessarily what's really the issue there in LA. I feel like pitching, they just can't catch a break. I mean, Ryan pitched one game out for the year. I mean, they have countless injuries. But I really don't like that argument at all for, well, the Padres and Diamondbacks are creeping up because the Dodgers are hurt. So are the Padres. So are the Diamondbacks.
Every team.
I mean, who's not hurt? I mean, Erod, I think they just got him back. He hasn't pitched all year.
And Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, those are big pieces for that staff. So I don't like the argument of, hey, they're tight because they're injured, because I think that all three teams are pretty equal. I mean, even Padres, we're missing pitching, which is probably our biggest thing we're missing, other than Tatis, you know. But same thing, I think the Diamondbacks and the Padres, I think that's a great point. I think that they are their biggest enemies right now. They both played well against the Dodgers all year, but I think that it's just about it if they can keep their head on right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think going in through August and then in September, all those teams are going to be separated by half game, a full game. So it's going to be really close. It's kind of up for grabs.
And then I think for the American League now, this one is actually spicing up for all three divisions. Same thing we've talked about all year, especially over the last couple episodes. Yankees and Orioles still tied for first place. The Astros are a half game up on the Mariners. I still expect the Astros to win out. But again, we know that if the Mariners just get some offense, they have the pitching staff to keep pace with them. And then the Guardians, who have been one of the best teams all year, they're having a rough stretch. I mean, they're 3-7 in their last 10, and they're only 3.5 games up on the Twins now, and only 4 over the Royals. And those are some hungry teams back there. So I think that as of right now, as a whole, the American League is the most interesting of divisions because it's pretty spicy for all three, I'd say.
Yeah, I think, and we're going to kind of talk about it. It's going to come down to specific series where it's going to be interdivision, such as Royals Twins, but and then also too, like, you know, Red Sox and Mariners are only 3 games back from that third wild card spot. So once again, I mean, right now, you know, we're counting this game by game approach, see how it goes within the week, and we're going to be talking about it again in our next episode. But once again, you know, these different stretches that are happening, like you had mentioned, you know, the Guardians are 3-7 their last. We'll see. I mean, they'll probably turn it around, but those losses do add up.
You guys thinking that the Rangers are cooked? Are they done? Are they not even going to sneak in as a wild card?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that the Detroit Tigers are half game ahead, but I just don't see even the 3 teams that are in the hunt, Boston, Seattle, or Tampa. I don't see any of them completely just collapsing, especially Boston, Seattle. I don't see them collapsing to where Texas is going to usurp them and be that next team in the hunt for that third spot. I just don't think it's going to happen, not this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the Rangers are cooked. I just looked at their schedule. Their rest of their August is looking pretty tough. They got Boston, the Yankees, Twins, Cleveland, and then they roll into at the end of August and then into September. They got lots of White Sox, Athletics, Angels, Toronto. So I don't know. I mean, they could have a pretty light end of their season, and that could help them, but they're kind of falling behind right now.
They could have a 2011 Tampa Bay-esque rise to the wild card spot, as we'll see.
Yeah, I guess that just shows how important that schedule is, playing some big dogs in the American League. They can really catch back up and then hopefully get to the easier teams and kind of coast through, or they just really put the nail in the coffin with the big boys and it doesn't really matter what they'll do with the small ones. Because I feel like, for me, Angels, A's, Tigers, White Sox, and Rays and Blue Jays, I think they're all out. Basically the bottom 2 of each division in the American League, and looks like the Rangers, we'll give them a little bit of hope. We'll see how the end of the month goes, but I think if this doesn't go good for them, I think you're able to count them out. Alrighty, I think that was pretty quick. That was the quickest we made it through thus far. We are shooting for a half hour because this is the goal. And then moving on to who's hot, who's not. Who wants to start us off?
I'm going to go ahead and start. So I got two players that I wanted to spotlight for who's been hot. First one's Jackson Churio, outfielder for the Brewers. His last 15 games, he's been hitting 344 average, 382 on base percentage, and 563 slugging. And he had a little bit of a rocky beginning. He was 19 years old at the start of the year. I mean, expecting a little too much, but come the start of the second half, he's really been turning on. He's starting to tap into that potential that everybody has been saying about it. And then some notable stats. I mean, before Friday's game, he had a 7-game hitting streak, 6 of those being multi-hit games. And then he had a 2 home run day in the final game against the Braves, being a major contributor to a 16-run game. And he's a stud. I mean, there's so much expectations from him. He got the big contract, 8 years, $82 million guaranteed for a 19-year-old who had not played a single game of MLB ball. I mean, that is in a ton of expectations. But just like different guys that have gotten that kind of contract early on, Bobby Witt, Corbin Carroll, that kind of happened. I won't mention the third, don't want to get canceled. But, he's living up to the expectation. He's performing well for a team that's trying to contend, Milwaukee. And the second pitcher that I want to spotlight, or second player, is a pitcher from the Mets, Sean Manaea. His last 7 starts, he's had a 3-2 record, but 2.95 ERA, 44 strikeouts, and a 1.13 WHIP. And, 2 specific starts I wanted to talk about specifically. On the 30th of July versus the Twins, 7 shutout innings with 11 strikeouts. And his next start on August 5th against the Cardinals, 7 shutout innings once again with 10 strikeouts. So we see 2 dominant starts against 2 playoff teams, or teams in the hunt. And he's been pitching as a great for the Mets, and that rotation as a whole has been pitching good too. Jose Quintana, David Peterson, Paul Blackburn's been great since he's been acquired by New York. So it's going to be important for Manaea and then that rest of that rotation to stay in that hunt for a wild card spot.
Yeah, I think Manaea is a great shout out. I think the last couple years with the Padres and with the Giants, that's what they were hoping to tap into because he's got the potential. It's just whatever the floor is usually a little bit lower, I feel like, than anyone else would like. But then for mine, I got a player and a team. I don't think that this is a big surprise, but Aaron Judge is my standout there. In his last 15 games, he's batting .472, and on the season, he's batting .328 average. He's got 42 home runs, 106 RBI, and he's one dotting it actually, and he's carrying the team to the best tie for the best record in baseball. The Yankees, they always talk about the lights are brighter there, the pressure is more, and that certainly doesn't affect him. I feel like it doesn't matter where he play, he'd shine, but even in New York, it's even more so. And then I don't know if you guys are sick of hearing about the Padres. There's a little bias here.
Please don't say the specific name, please.
But I'm just shouting out the entire team. I'm not going to any one player because we're having players from the top of the order to the bottom of the order. We're having pitchers, relievers. Everybody is really contributing. They were 50 and 49, just one game over 500, stumbling into the All-Star break. I mean, it was ugly. But since the All-Star break is over, they've only lost 4 games. They've gone 16 and 4, 13 games over 500, outscoring their opponents 121 to 73. That's how you win some ball games right there. I mean, even the Padres' offensive stats on the year, not even just recently, but they're leading the league in batting average, they're leading the league in hits, and they're second to last in strikeouts. So they're making good contact here, which is nice to see. I don't have all of the same stats for the Snakes because they're not my number 1 team, but they're tied right now, 3.5 games back of the West. You have to give them their flowers too because they're both teams that are there, able to be serious threats. They've only lost 5 games. So 5 games since the All-Star break, they're certainly hot. I definitely got to give them some props as well.
Awesome. So yeah, for my who's hot, I just have one player, Spencer Arrighetti. He's a rookie in the Astros. He's helping the Astros try to push for that and stay in that playoff race. He put up 13 strikeouts over 7 innings pitched against his last start against the Red Sox. And then the previous start before that, he punched out 12 and 6 innings pitched against the Rays. And his numbers have starting to steadily get better since July. He kind of had a rocky start throughout the season. Is he going to overtake Skubal for the AL Cy Young? Nope. But his consistent starts of late, and hopefully throughout the rest of the season, can help guarantee a spot for the Micah Strohs over there in their race for the pennant.
I thought you were gonna jump out with that bold clam. Glad you walked that back, buddy.
Alrighty, I think that covers it. Anything else?
We don't have to downgrade anybody today. I don't think
Alright,
call anybody
okay,
out.
moving on. This is actually my favorite segment now. We call it the 7th inning stretch, where we just pick nonsense that we want to talk about. Jay, you want to get us started?
Sure. So we all know who the face of baseball is, Shohei Ohtani. He's a rare talent, both being dominant with his arm and his bat when he's healthy. Even without being able to pitch this year, we can see that Shohei is no doubt going to bring home his first MVP in the National League. But what also he's going to be taking home are lots of boxes of cleats from New Balance. The Ohtani ones have just come out. Now, we usually see a lot of signature sneakers coming out of the NBA with the likes of LeBron, Kobe, Tatum, Doncic, and many other lines throughout the various sportswear brands. But signature cleats are not something that we hear about a lot. But I think it's like a brilliant idea. It maximizes the face of baseball, and who out of all these kids that are playing Little League these days wouldn't want to take home a pair of Ohtani ones? It's a smart move from NB, and Ohtani joins a small squad of MLB players who have their own signature cleats, and that includes legends like Ken Griffey Jr. and Derek Jeter, and even some current day players have their own cleats, Mike Trout, Bryce Harper. There's many other players. And you can even pick up your own pair of Ohtani ones from the New Balance website for a retail price of $159.99.
I don't know about that, but are you rocking some Griffies out in the city? Like some casual wear?
I would if I could find them. They're probably pretty rare these days.
I don't know if Shohei, if you're listening, or New Balance, but if you want us to rep a pair, I think we'd each take one. And I don't necessarily want to be known as the blind ranking guy on the pod here, but I guess that's what I am. So for my segment, I was hoping to get you guys to rank these 5 starting pitchers in their prime. So not them right now, at whatever point in their career you want to take them, because all these guys have played for different teams, or some of them have. And fair warning, most of these guys, if not all of these guys, are Hall of Famers. So there's no curveballs in here for some random Joe Schmo.
So no Jose Urena?
Not this time.
Okay.
Alrighty, gentlemen. So with our first pitcher, Max Scherzer.
Oof.
Where are you putting him?
Okay.
These are all people MLB starters
That are active
still
right
playing.
now.
Okay.
So no Randy Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, yeah, it's current players.
In their prime. Oh boy.
I'm gonna go 4.
Max Scherzer's prime though is crazy. I'm gonna go 3.
Alrighty. Our second one, and now I believe he's only ever played for one club, Clayton Kershaw.
1.
Could be a bold take, Jay.
No, I'm thinking.
Just interject. Like, I know he sucks during the playoffs, but he's one of the best regular season pitchers of all time.
Yeah,
I think he's got a career 2-something ERA.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's 2. I think I gotta go 1. I know you're gonna mention another name, and I think he did it too. But Clayton Kershaw, I know for sure, won MVP as well.
Yeah.
Like that's so insane to do as a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you're gonna mention this other person, but I think I'm still comfortable putting Kershaw 1 as well.
I also think it means even more being with one club. You
Yeah, that's
don't
true.
see that very often these days, so I think you gotta love it. Alrighty, our third pitcher here, speaking of the Bronx, Garrett Cole.
He's number 5. Yeah.
Um,
How many rings does he have? One?
I don't even. I'd have to.
Did he
This
win
is
with
this
the
is bad.
Astros?
I don't think he was there.
Yeah, he's been with the
'Cause I
Astros
know,
and the
like-
Pirates, but he definitely didn't win with the Pirates.
Oh no. But let me check that. No, he didn't win. I think they picked him up the year after. But they had got like Zach Greinke. I won't say the other person because I think you were about to mention him. Like in these next two.
All right.
I think Garrett Cole will be fine for me also.
Honestly, I think that's probably a good spot. Amazing pitcher, but probably number 5 for this list. Number 4 now, Chris Sale. Where are you putting this guy? Our last two guys are a little bit older.
Yeah, I think Chris Sale is a good 4. I am like 99% on who you're gonna pick for the last one, so I think I'm gonna put Sale 4.
I'll put him at 3 because I have to. I think he's. If I know who your last one's gonna be, I say Chris Sale is undeniably the worst out of the 5. But
I think he was
injuries
better.
have plagued his career. That's why.
For sure.
I think he's better than Garrett Cole in my opinion.
He just doesn't have the longevity.
You try hitting a 99-mile-an-hour fastball
Doesn't
that means
matter.
about going horizontal
It's-
with the plane.
It's the stats. So
Yeah, stats prove it too.
Alrighty, gentlemen. Big shocker here. Another older guy here, Justin.
That's
Verlander.
exactly who I was waiting for this whole time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I gotta put him at 2, and I'm glad I had waited. But man, let me check because I think Verlander had one MVP too.
He did.
Okay, so like him and Kershaw, I think, are the only guys that are
Dude,
active.
His
that have done
stats
that.
are unbelievable. I mean,
And-
Kershaw. Let's see.
He's also a Triple Crown winner, Justin Verlander. Let me see if Kershaw's done that.
I think
He has. So that's 1A, 1B.
and then how many rings each do they have?
So Kershaw only has the
He's
one,
a Mickey year.
the Mickey year, but Verlander should have 2 because he won the first time with the Astros in the common year, and then the second time around because they acquired him for a box of crackers. Yep, 2-time World Series champ for Verlander.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their stats. I think Kershaw and Justin Verlander, especially out of that group, I think they're definitely first ballot Hall of Famers. But I mean, his stuff is crazy. MVP, Rookie of the Year, 9-time All-Star, 2-time ERA title, 3-time Cy Young, Triple Crown, 2 World Series, and ALCS MVP. I mean, that's some stats.
I mean, they've had very similar career paths other than Verlander leaving teams. But in terms of stats, where they were drafted, in terms of the expectations they had coming out of the minors, very similar.
How long have they been playing for? Do you know? I know
Verlander's
Verlander's in his 19th year.
Yeah, Verlander is a couple years before, but Kershaw was like 08. I think Verlander is like 05, 06.
I thought he was. Let's see. It should show it here. Have it somewhere.
Yeah, he was 05. And both of those guys, they had injuries too, but even then, they're still pitching at a pretty decent level. So,
All right, big man, take us home.
all right. So, especially since we are all Padres fans here, some are a little more than others. I want to discuss who's been the main piece of the success for the Padres in the second half. Jackson Merrill. So we all knew him as a top prospect. We were wondering, is AJ Pro going to cast him into the fire to try to acquire him for another big player via trade? No, he kept him, and it's definitely been working out. We know he was an all-star this year as a rookie. Very impressive whenever that happens, and he has been on a tear, especially this last couple weeks. Getting clutch hits, but he's been doing that all year. But the real question is there a realistic scenario where Jackson Merrill passes up Paul Skeens for the NL Rookie of the Year race and wins it?
I think realistically, I think he's got a great shot. If he continues on the path that he's doing, I mean, this is a kid that plays every day. Trying to compare a pitcher versus a position player, I think is unfair. I don't think that they honestly should be compared. I think that those should probably be separate awards. I think Skeens will probably take it just because of the flash factor. I mean, this guy, 6'7", throws what? He tops 100 by how much? What's he get to?
1 on 2.
And he'll do that down to like his last pitch. So I mean, I love Skeens. I'm a big fan. He's electric to watch, and I think that that's what will edge out Jackson Merrill, especially because he shines even brighter being on the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. They don't have a lot of glitz to him versus Merrill's amongst, some absolute stars. So I think it's a different, it's a different scenario there. But I think that Skeens will win it. But my vote's for Merrill.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I was thinking more like, it is a team game, but it is also a stats game. Stats don't lie. So, I mean, again, in a perfect world, that there would be no, because Paul Skeens brings in the views. It's stats don't lie, but yeah. So I mean, if you look at Merrill's last 7 days, he has 11 hits, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, and has collected 4 walks. He's hit 458 average. If you just watch Jackson Merrill's at bats, he bats like a veteran, like a good veteran with good plate vision. Most of his at bats, he's just trying to get the bat on the ball. He's not trying to destroy the ball like Polar Bear Pete every single time he comes up to the plate. Javi Baez. That's what leads to them getting lots of strikeouts as well. He's just trying to find his pitch, and he's trying to put good swing time on it. And he's also clutch Merrill that we've seen the last couple games. So many of those games in the late stages, 6th, 7th inning, he either hits a home run or gets a hit to tie the game or take the lead. So that's not something that we see in rookies. Again, even top prospect rookies. He's 12th in hits in the whole NL. He has the 7th best average in the whole NL, 10th in slugging, and 13th in OPS. And then you got Paulie Skeens. I think Paulie Skeens is going to end up being a top 5 pitcher by the end of the year, starting pitcher. And maybe before the hot start of Merrill in August, I would say that Skeens' dominance would have won him the Rookie of the Year and maybe even the Cy Young Award. But if you start to look already at his starts from August, which it's only been 2, yes, he's already given up as many runs and earned runs in his 2 starts in August than he has in all of the previous months of the season from his starts, and that's just from 2 starts in August. Now both of his starts in August were both against the Diamond Snakes and the always clubbing Dodgers. So that doesn't take away from the great season that he's had so far. He has a 6-2 record, 2.25 ERA. He has 115 strikeouts, and he pitches about 6 1/3 every game. And again, there's still a month and a half left, but if Merrill keeps on that upswing and helps the swinging Friars get to the playoff spot, and especially if they dethrone the Dodgers, and then Skeens again still has good starts, but isn't as dominant as he was the first couple seasons, and the Bucks get bounced, or the first couple of months of the season, and the Bucks get bounced out of the playoff race. I think it goes to Merrill.
Yeah, so definitely there's a lot of variables that go into the scenario where Merrill passed up Skeens, but it is as close as it's ever been. With the tear that Merrill's been on and Skeens is kind of starting to look human. There is a scenario where I see the Pirates, they slowly find themselves falling farther and farther back, and they shut down Skeens. Yeah. So if we see Skeens not pitch in September, Jackson Merrill doesn't even have to be on the crazy rate he is now. He just has to keep playing and keep getting hits. And that would probably be enough for him to get that win. And also, if he goes, or if the Padres get the division lead and Merrill is a part of it, I don't care how hard MLB glazes Paul Skeens because he's a big man, throws 1-2, dates Levy done. That's all great. But man, that you can't deny the impact Merrill has been having right now, and that he probably will have if the Padres are able to do that and get that division win.
I'm comfortable with saying if all these factors continue, that Merrill has a case for the NL MVP if Ohtani was still in an Angels jersey.
Okay, I was about to say, dude, he needed, let's not.
I added that caveat on.
Honestly, I guess you'd have to compare him to Marte. Marte is silently having an amazing. He could beat out Ohtani because again, Ohtani is only a DH,
right?
But that's a discussion for another day.
Either teams bounce the Dodgers,
It's gonna take Ohtani being confirmed a gambling man to
or get traded back to the Angels,
Okay, but yeah, it's gonna take that scandal coming up out of nowhere again to stop Otani from being MVP. But for the sake of content, it would be pretty insane. So, the next part involving Jackson Merrill, where does he rank for center fielders in 2024? And this isn't talking about talent; we're just talking about stats and performance. So, guys like Acuna or Mike Trout, where obviously they would be better, they just haven't played, so they shouldn't be on this list. Where do you have him ranked, Rylan, for center fielders?
Oh, going first. I mean, I guess I would put him as second, being someone that's biased, just like I brought him up in who's hot. I think Judge is clearly number one, and I don't think that there's an argument. I think that Merrill is having an amazing season, but Judge is that guy. I think for me, I would put Merrill as second, not only because his stats are good, but the impact he has on this team cannot be measured. I mean, we see he's had 4 games now where he's either tied it in the 8th or 9th or walked it off himself with a home run. So he has those clutch times, but I think his impact on this club, as far as the vibes go, we didn't have a young buck that got everyone riled up like this last year. We were so good. I mean, talented roster, but they just didn't have that spark. They didn't have that fight in them. And they would roll over in extra innings. And I think Merrill, you see his energy when he gets those home runs, or even just gets a home run in general. I mean, he gets the boys hyped up. You see some of the older guys like Manny, and he gets him fired up too. So I think he's got to go number 2 for me, just because of the impact on the entire team and just the whole clubhouse. And then I think I'm gonna totally steal your rankings. I totally agree with his. He said them earlier, so I am totally stealing it. But I think Duran is probably go number 3. That dude's a stud. He's ripped. I mean, he's killing it out there in Boston.
Kind of agree with you too. I was just thinking. I saw a post. Merrill plays like a minor leaguer. He's not a minor leaguer anymore. I don't see him ever being a minor leaguer again. But his comments about when they ask him about the Rookie of the Year race and how he does not care just shows that he wants that pennant. He wants to win. That's what he cares about.
It's all about the team and the wins.
So I love that. That's a humble approach, and that's something that many guys should take. I mean, I think most of our rankings are going to be kind of neck and neck. I would say that Jackson Merrill wins number 2. Again, number 1 technically is Aaron Judge being moved to center field. I don't think he's a real center fielder, but he has been moved there out of necessity this year for the Yankees, and he's having yet another historic season. I think it's impressive that Merrill's number 2. Not only was this his rookie year, but he lands the starting center field job after coming through in the minors being a second baseman. He originally was a shortstop that moved to second base. I think a lot of we were questioning him moving from second to center field, how that was going to work out defensively to cover the black hole that was left defensively from Trent Grisham when he got traded to the Yanks. But I think Merrill has done just that, and he's being on fire with the bat, which was not and currently not Grisham's forte. And he's arguably, I think, the best position player for the Padres this year. I know we, especially as of late, I know Profar would say, most people would say, but I think defensively edges him out, honestly.
No, he's
I don't think Profar is a horrible fielder, but both sides of the ball, he's killing the game. And then I think, third spot goes to Jarren Duran. He's trailing behind just by a little. He's been getting better every single year. All-star. And if you compare the stats of the two between Duran and Merrill, it's not too different. But I think Duran has been doing this more consistently. Obviously, Merrill's a rookie. But yeah, if we're talking just 2024 season, you go Judge, Merrill, and Duran.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Aaron Judge number 1. We don't have to talk about that. So number 2, I think this has a little bit, which this confuses me on why Jackson Merrill bats so low in the lineup. But I have to disagree with you that stats are close. because there are certain counting stats where Jaren Duran is definitely beating Jackson Merrill. For example, Jaren Duran, he leads all center fielders in doubles with 36. Jackson Merrill only has 19. Jaren Duran leads all center fielders in triples with 13. Jackson Merrill only has 4. But at the same time, Jackson Merrill has only played 2 less games than Jaren Duran, but also has 85 less at-bats because Jaren Duran bats first. That's not Jackson Merrill's fault.
Good point.
I do think if and when they make the playoffs, Jackson Merrill has to be moved up into the lineup. But you can't discredit that, but you also can't discredit Jaren Duran too. You know, we gotta pay respect where it's due. But it's really a 2A, 2B. You know, Duran A, Merrill B, but it's very close. You can pick and choose there. And then for number 4, I have Brenton Doyle, the only bright spot of the Rockies at this point. Get that guy out of there. And number 5 is Elliot Ramos, center fielder out there for the Giants. He's had some injuries, but you know, counting stats, he's definitely a very talented player.
Yeah, I think even for Duran, I think you do have to kind of remember which park they play in, though. I think doubles and triples, especially off the Green Monster, are just going to come a little bit more than the hardest ballpark to hit at, you know, in Petco.
And that's just and I agree with you, and I think that's a good stat. But that's just your physical genetics. Some dudes are just going to be faster than others, no matter how age or position. I think Jaren Duran got them legs. He's booking it out there when he's hitting it, and just some dudes, you know, can't run as fast. But I agree with your stats.
But at the same time, I mean, dude, like Merrill's stats are still, you know, great. And Jackson Merrill is still a 5-tool player, man. Like, he might not have the stats like Duran does, but I mean, I think there's obviously upside for Merrill to be like a 30-20 guy every year. I think maybe not this year, but I think for the future, like that's definitely an expectation for him for every year. So with that being said, the final aspect of this Jackson Merrill discussion, I want to do a would you rather facing just around him. And with each of these players, this is would you rather have this player long term than Jackson Merrill. And all these guys, they're all going to be outfielders. Obviously, there's, you know, certain other infielders where we could just include, but based just off comparisons of what an outfielder brings, I think it's just going to be a little more accurate. And as you'll see, it's going to be like certain players, and as it keeps going, it's going to be, I think, a little harder. So we're going to see how hard you're glazing the man. So, starting off, would you rather have Jackson Merrill or Wyatt Langford long term?
I think, again, super biased here. I think I'm going to go Merrill, probably more of these than not. I mean, I don't know who you got cooking up over there, but I think I'll probably go Jackson.
I go Merrill off the stats, and if you just look at it, you can move Merrill back to the infield.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
he's more of a utility as well.
You're versatile.
There's definitely the flexibility. Okay, and then the next player, would you rather have Jackson Merrill or James Wood?
I mean, as a Padres fan, we had both, and I think there's just more upside to Merrill. I think you can move him around. I think Wood might be a more of a power bat as time goes. You see him starting to cook up now, but I love the way that he affects the clubhouse. I've already talked about this. I don't see Wood really speaking up and being that guy in that clubhouse versus Merrill. Like we talked about, he's got the views as a minor leaguer. That's why I love Will Myers on the Padres. He's got that hustle. He was a seasoned vet, but he's running out the ground outs. Like he's putting in that hustle even when at times you don't need to, you know. But you just never know how the ball's going to roll. I think I would rather have someone like that is a vibes guy, because we see that even for the Padres with Profar. He's been a huge vibes guy, and that's not a stat, but it's something that can have a huge effect on your team.
I'm going Merrill as well, and this is the reason why. It comes down to fundamentals. The way he approaches his at-bats, the balls he swings at. Again, how many highlights have we seen this year of James Wood mashing a ball out, a home run, but how out of the zone it was, where he probably should have just taken it. Now that's going to work sometimes, but at bats like that, where that's your approach, it's going to lead to a way lower average and way more strikeouts. And at the end of the day, having a good at bat is just going to prolong your career.
Well, he's got a bigger strike zone too. He's a big man, right?
He's 6'7".
Yeah, that's gonna make it harder too.
I think, yeah, it's just, floor versus ceiling. How are you going to calculate that risk? All right, so here's the next one. I think these are a little harder, maybe not. It kind of just is more the performance right now. Would you rather have Jackson Merrill or Riley Green?
That's a good one. Honestly, I'd have to look up their stats and compare them.
Yeah, I don't know the stats well enough. What's the age difference?
So Merrill he's 21, right?
Yeah, just turned 21.
So Riley Green, he was the representative for the Tigers, which isn't saying much, and he's about to turn 24. But highly touted prospect coming out of is he Vanderbilt or did he come straight out of? No, he came straight out of high school, but he's a highly touted prospect. Really similar, I think. The past that both those guys had, first round picks, rose up the draft or the prospect boards, and Riley Green had a couple years where it was a little bit tough. He had injuries, but he's kind of put it together, and I think we all know he has upside. But really similar players. But I think I could have expected a Jackson Merrill answer there.
We'll see how it's going to go. I think just looking at this season alone, I think I again go with Merrill. They have the same amount of home runs, so the power is similar as of right now. But Merrill has over 30 more at bats, over 30 more at bats, and yet he's batting almost 300 on the year versus Green's batting 264, which I'm sure is above league average. That's not bad. I think 250 plus, you're always going to be happy with that. But again, I think just the way he works his at bats, he goes down 0-2 pretty quick a lot of the time, because he is swinging for it, but then he locks in with 0-2, and they are fun to watch. So I think, again, I like a guy that's got a good batting average. I think that's a little bit underrated nowadays. So I think, again, I'll go with Merrill for that one.
And I like the batting average too, but I love Luis Ariz as well, but he's a one-tool player. He just hits singles, he just has average, but Jackson Merrill has the power and he has the fielding. I also think I'll take Jackson Merrill as well. A big reason why, again, we've already talked about the mentality. I think he has the Kobe mentality when it comes to the game. But let's be real. The stage, again, he has way more players around him, way more talent, but the stage coming into San Diego is way higher than in Detroit. They expect nothing out of you in Detroit. They know you're probably not going to make the playoffs most of the time. You're not in the same land as the White Sox or the Athletics, but how many years in the past have we seen where the Tigers are right there in the dumps with those teams? Whereas you come to the Padres, you're expected to come and fight against the Diamondbacks, against the Dodgers. That he stepped up to the plate, he stepped up to the spotlight, and he's performing. So I think I take Merrill over Riley Green there.
Fair enough. And then the next one, and here's another thing I should say. When we find somebody that you say this player's better than Merrill, I'm going to stop. But we're just going to keep going. But let me shut up and let me just say the next person. Would you rather have Jackson Merrill or Jarren Duran? Long term.
That one, I think it just depends on how Merrill goes. You look at someone like Corbin Carroll, incredible first year. He was so good. Second year, he's heating up again, and the team's doing good. But man, that first half plus was rough. So I'm very curious to see how Jackson Merrill's going to go. Again, biasly, I think, I want to say Jackson Merrill, but I think just based off of the stats of how Duran gets better with each year and the time and the confidence is going to grow, I think I actually will go Duran at this point in time purely just because he's got the track record. But ask me this question in a couple seasons and we'll see how I feel.
I think I'm going to go Duran as well just because he is more of a vet. He didn't have as much of a steep fall off as Corbin Carroll did, so we don't know what Merrill's going to do next year. Again, I think if Merrill sticks to his chops and sticks to his laurels on how he comes about each at bat, he's going to have a great career. I feel like Duran in the past has had injury problems, nothing serious, but has had injury problems Jackson Merrill has played all year, so again, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but Duran has had injury problems. But for right now, Duran has a better track record.
But this is long term though, so you got to factor in potential. Do you still want to go Duran, or do you think Merrill's got more he's going to tap into though? You want to just
I think
if you want to backtrack it.
I don't think Duran's going to get better than what he is.
So, but once again, this is long term. So do you still want to go Duran, or do you want to go Merrill?
If I could twist my arm, I'll go Merrill again because I think that he's only cooking up now. He's like I mean, we went and saw him in spring training last season. He did not have a whole lot of power, against major league pitching when he first came up. We've seen how he's adjusted. We see how good his bats are. He's only 21, just turned it, so he's only going to get older. He's going to get stronger. I'm not saying his power is going to become your daddy level, but I think he could be even more.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe Merrill can bulk up and keep the swing mechanics down. I'm just gonna be safe here. I'm gonna say Jarren Duran for right now.
All right, so it seems like we're going a little overboard. We're getting a little too toasty with the Jackson Merrill discussion. We're really passionate about this, man. So these next couple names, this one should be pretty quick because you were just dumping on them. Would you rather have Jackson Merrill, Corbin Carroll long term?
I like Jackson Merrill. That one's a quick one. I mean, I think you gotta give Carroll his props, but again, I think that I'd rather have the upside of Merrill, especially once he gets moved up in the order like Carroll has been. I think you'll see more excitement.
Okay.
I got Jackson Merrill as well.
All right, so got two more here.
Two more. We're already at 50 minutes, Mike.
This will straight shotgun this. We'll see how fast y'all are glazing this dude over one season. Would you rather have Jackson Merrill long term or Julio Rodriguez?
That one.
I keep getting injured.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Merrill just from the standpoint of like if you were comparing Jackson Merrill to Julio's second half, it'd be different. But the problem is you have to deal with his first half. It's the same thing with Blake Snell. Love Blake Snell, but his first half, they're tough. I mean, but the second half is great. So if we were comparing, second halves, that'd be one thing. But Julio's only like an elite player for half of the year every year
when he's not hurt.
So I think I'm going to go, potential longevity. He is younger than Julio. I don't think by a lot. I think Julio's younger than people expect, but I think I'm going Jackson.
I mean, even Jackson this year hasn't had little ticky-tack injuries. He's out for 2 or 3 games, day-by-day games. Julio has injury problems. That's just been his whole career. He's had injury problems.
Okay. One last one.
Long term.
One last one. It's your opinion.
You already know how I'm going with.
Would you rather have long-term Jackson Merrill or Ronald Acuna?
Dude, you're talking about a dude who's blown out both of his ACLs. Again, the talent. I agree. Julio Rodriguez is more talented than Merrill.
Hey, I don't think so.
He is more talented. That's talent. Talent compared to good mechanics. Ronald Acuna is way more talented than Merrill. He is like the most talented MLB player, other than Shohei Ohtani. Like he's the most talented position player, but dude can't stay healthy. You can't deny that.
I'd go Acuna on that one. I thought you were gonna go Churio. I have their stats comparable, and they're not really like that close actually. The only thing that Churio's beating him in is stolen bases. So for me, you're looking at someone who should be probably the MVP every year that he is healthy in Acuna. So he's missed 2 seasons now with serious injuries, but when that guy's on the field, it's him, Judge, and Ohtani. Not in that order necessarily, but those are the top 3 players every year if they're healthy. I think I'm gonna go with Acuna on that one.
All right, well,
he's got.
You tell him, Jay. You tell him. Let's get fired up.
He's got bionic knees, dude. We don't live in a perfect world.
40-70, bro.
Yeah.
40-70.
Did they win?
No, they didn't.
They didn't, but I tell you what.
So the one year that they won, he wasn't there.
Floor and ceiling. I'll tell you that.
We don't live in a perfect world, bro. He could blow out both his knees next year.
Floor and ceiling.
Merrill doesn't have that yet.
I'll take floor and ceiling on that one. But this has been a very informative discussion about a very hot player.
Way to just take us long, Mike. You were the one that was supposed to keep us short. We are not hitting a half hour. We
Almost an
We
hour.
are at 50, boys. So we are gonna
Speed
cut through
through
these series
series.
quick. I tried texting the boys when we were at a half hour. I don't know if they saw it or if we just blew past it. But
I got
series
the
of the
timer.
week, real quick. I'm gonna go with Brewers versus Dodgers. I think this one is about two NL division leaders, potential playoff matchup. I think the Dodgers are, in theory, the better team, but because of the pitching staff problems, and I think their bullpen's not been great either. I think I'm gonna go split though on this one. So, what are you guys thinking?
I'm saying the Dodgers take it. Yeah.
This is Dodgers Brewers, right?
Oh, and this is a 4-game series, so that's why I picked split.
And it's
Where
in-
is it at?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't have it on my phone. I wanted to say it's in Milwaukee, but it could be in Disneyland.
Yeah, it is in Milwaukee.
Already said what I said.
I'm gonna say split.
All right. Quit trying to copy me, Micah.
You know that's not the case.
All right.
So for my series of the week, I'm gonna go with the Royals at the Twins in Minnesota. It's a 3-game series. Obviously, you know these are two teams that are competing for spots in the wild card, and also whoever wins the series could get inches ever closer to the lead for the Guardians in the Central. But I will be going with the Twins on that one. Series win there.
So for me, I think the biggest thing that's going to make the difference is, shocker, but Bobby Witt. But you look at his splits away and at home, he is like one of the best players
Are they cheating?
at home. But he is not the same guy on the road.
Are they cheating?
Are they cheating? I don't think so. I don't think that they were expecting to be at this point. You know, I mean, they already outbeat themselves from last year by a landslide. So I think I'm gonna go with Twins though, just based on Bobby Witt's away stats. But I mean, this one could go either way. I think this is definitely the spiciest matchup of the week.
Was it Twins and
The Royals at Twins. 3-game
Royals at
series.
Twins? I'm taking Twins.
Okay.
And we all went with Twins.
But here's one more thing before we start the outro. I know we're over, but we have a 3-way tie for last week. But here's the thing. I picked the White Sox. I blew it. I don't think I deserve a piece of this pie. But I have something for you guys, though.
No.
Depends if you want to cut it. It's going to be quick. Don't be spending too long being passionate about it. I want to break this tie.
Nah, I think 3-way tie, no one wins.
Yeah,
If
come on,
it's a
the one
2-way
time I
tie,
had to go,
then
right?
we'll
Come
do
on.
it. But since it's 3,
Yeah, well,
it's a dead deal this week.
yeah, no free burrito for you again. Come on, Jay.
No, I
Jay,
don't
take
even
us
want the
home.
free burrito. I want to see how good your trivia is. I had
We
something.
gotta
for
wait.
you.
We gotta wait where it's a head-to-head.
All right, I like that.
So my series of the week, it's the end of the week. Their first game's on Friday the 16th. Guardians and Brewers, opposite leagues. They're both currently on the top of their divisions, but we realize no division lead is safe, so they're both kind of vying to keep their gold medal for their division. So who are you guys taking, Guardians or the Brewers?
Do you know where they're playing? Is it still Milwaukee or is it over there in Cleveland? I think for me, either way, I think I'm taking the Guardians. I think they haven't been playing to their potential lately. They're still a great baseball team, and I think
in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, just based off of the Dodgers series before that, I think that they're going to have to run through their bullpen just because that offense can be relentless. So I think that they could be a little bit hurt on that. So I'm going to go with Guardians on that.
And it's how many games?
3.
Yeah, it's a great point about usage of the bullpen. I think you gotta go Guardians with that.
Quick copy on me.
I'm going Guardians as well. I think they just have more firepower.
This one should be interesting because we all went Twins, we all went Guardians, and then the difference is the Dodgers Brewers one. So Jay, you either take the cake or me and Mike are gonna have a tie. I kind of like that you and me have the same one because you haven't hit under 500. I went 0 2 weeks ago. I went 500 this week. We
So
have a
you're
3-way
winning.
tie. So hopefully that we can duke it out, and then we will do trivia. We'll have to have Jay do it, or he takes the cake and gets a free burrito. Alrighty, sorry we went longer than expected, but
There's some passionate guys over Jackson, Merrill. I'm just asking questions. That's all.
well, hopefully you enjoyed that one. The brothers getting fired up. You gotta love it. So hopefully you made it this far. We appreciate you tuning in, letting us yuck up some ball. I think that's it.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
Thanks for joining.
Alright, see you later.